motifs. That would get old. In a cut to the subway, we find Arashi? Hold up. That's a Japanese name. They didn't even change it for no fucking reason, like everyone else in this series. Even the names that are in English. There's a reason for that, though, I think. Mega Man Battle Network 2, and by extension most of the games, have what I assume to be a rushed English translation. Given the short time between releases, it's not unlikely. It's not always immediately noticeable, but the character's dialogue sometimes just doesn't flow right. Many conversations read as stiff and inhuman, like you ran all their lines through Google Translate without localizing them. Some lines are even clearly attributed to the wrong character. As a result of this, the game isn't as changed or censored as some of the other Battle Network games, so most of the new characters still have their Japanese names. And the game still includes some mild curse words like damn and hell, despite being rated E. The cracks in the translation also remove a bit of foreshadowing that should be in this scene. So Arashi is talking to his boss and decides to quit. Unfortunately for him, his boss isn't super keen on an ex-mob member walking around with all their secrets, so he... Holy fuck, that guy's dead. That was surprisingly dark. Anyway, the shadowy figure shouts that Gospel is the best net mafia organization ever. To no one in particular, because he just blew up the guy he was talking to. Gospel is that foreshadowing I mentioned. If you played the later classic Mega Man games, you'll remember this purple robot wolf named Treble. He was like the evil version of Rush. Well, in Japan, Treble is named Gospel. This will be important later, so keep it in mind.
Oh, that's interesting.
Back in AC/DC Town, the gang helps Yai to bed before heading home for the day. Wanting to make the best of his school break, Lan decides to set up a camping trip for him and his friends. But they all have more important things to do than go die in the middle of the woods from what would somehow still be an internet-related disaster that would likely ensue. But this is a game, and things have to happen, so Lan conveniently gets an email blast from the Net Battle organization informing him that the next stage of the license exam is currently taking place in Marine Harbor. Jacking into the testing network, we meet the test administrator. But let's check out the shops first to make sure we're prepared. There are 3 types of merchants in Battle Network 2. Net dealers, sub-chip dealers, and bug frag dealers. Net dealers handle battle chips and the returning purchasable upgrades, HP memory, and power-ups. Sub-chip dealers sell the new sub-chip items that you can use outside of battle, like health energy, keys for locked data crystals, or the new evade item that works like a repel in Pokemon to cut back on those endless random battles. Bug frag dealers are a special type of merchant that only trade in the new currency, bug fragments, which can be sparsely found around the world. There's like maybe 50 in the whole game. For some reason, these bits of corrupted junk data are really valuable, and you can offer them up in exchange for much rarer chips than you find at the regular stores. Now that we've satiated our capitalist system, let's get on with the exam. First up is an endurance battle against 5 waves of viruses, and it's so easy I don't even remember if I got hit or not. Next, we're given a vague hint to go help a Navi. All the game tells us is that he's lost somewhere. Yeah, they're still padding the game with stuff like this. It isn't terrible, but it's clearly Capcom stretching out what little data they could fit on a GBA cart into as long a game as possible, which is understandable. We find the Navi, and it turns out he's lost because he's missing his walk program and just can't move. Why is that a removable file? That's kind of fucked up, right? We find the evil Navi who stole it, bring it back, and now it's time for Test 3. Another gauntlet where I actually had to put in some effort to it. And ta-da! We get the B license, which allows us to be a practicing net battler, which means at last, we can fight against rival net navies. Wait, we also get a reg-up, short for regular memory upgrade. You remember the chip folder from the first game, right? Well, it's been slightly adjusted since then to try and balance things a little better. Now you can only hold 5 of a single chip at a given time, rather than 10. Chips also now have a memory value to show how much space they take up. You can set a single chip to always appear on the first turn of battle, but only if its size is lesser or equal to your folder's regular memory. This is a good idea for a mechanic, ruined by the fact it'll take us the entire game to get the memory to a decent level.
Shield, she's getting full cured.
That night, Protoman and Sho check out the NetSquare forums where they find messages threatening a mass attack on Electopia. Author's note, Electopia is the name of the imaginary country that the Mega Man Battle Network series takes place in. This is, however, another pointless dub change, in the original Japanese version, Land just lives in Japan. I'm not a snobby weeaboo elitist or anything like that, I just think it's really strange that they keep changing all these innocuous places for no real reason. The following morning, Land meets up with his friends to go on their camping trip. But when they get there, they find Sho waiting for them. Obviously, Sasuke over here doesn't give a single solitary fuck about camping, so there's clearly another reason for his being here, but no point in dwelling on that now. Once at the campsite, the group decides to, and by that I mean tells Land to, set up a cooking area by finding wood and stuff. Despite his insufferable shonen rival personality, Lance still refuses to leave without making sure Sho is safe. Atop the dam, we find a workman's room that's locked. Sho calls to tell us he's inside and trying to stop a second bomb that would destroy the dam and flood Electopia. He gives Lan and Mega Man the task of finding the 4 remote detonators around the park and shutting them down. Since it's divided into several chunks, this is the first Battle Network dungeon, and one of the very few, that has no puzzle associated with it. There are paths that will explode when you approach them, but it's not a danger to Mega Man. The various junctions have numbers on them that I have to figure have something to do with what route to take, so time for some well-thought-out strategic map movement. Or I'll just mindlessly run down every path and hope I find a way through eventually. Yeah, that sounds easier, I'm gonna do that. But fear not. There's still some random bullshit to put up with, even without a puzzle. In these detonators, one of the mobs you can encounter is 3 Handies. Handies drop a bomb with a 3-second timer that damages Mega Man's entire field if it goes off. You can shoot it to stop the explosion, but this early in the game, the Mega Buster is only just barely strong and fast enough to do so. So, if we were to face, say, 3 of these guys simultaneously, what do you think would happen? After taking out the 3rd detonator, Sho tells us that the final one is being held by the operator responsible for this. We're able to easily find him as he's a unique NPC, and if a character isn't one of the 5 copy-paste city folk, they're definitely important. No, the last bomb switch is in his PET. We're just a kid. We've got no way to stop... Ugh, they're all so fucking dumb. This guy's Navi is Quickman.exe. A simple boss that can take a while to beat based on your chip folder. If you try to attack Quickman, he'll use his boomerangs to protect himself no matter what. To deal damage, you have to bait him into attacking, then strike back in the small window as his boomerang returns to him. This isn't a big deal once you figure it out, but a lot of battle chips are simply too slow to hit him, or he won't get close enough in the time given, meaning unless you've gone out of your way to get more specific chips, it's shotguns and Navi assists for this one.
Okay.
It's shotguns and Navi assists for this one.
Dave? Speedy Dave? Who the fuck wrote this? Why is that the one character whose name you chose to fuck with?
After another small time skip, we find Lan and Mega Man deciding what to write about for Lan's summer project, when a balloon with a chip attached to it gets caught in a tree nearby. Mega Man translates the data and finds it's from... No comment. Our heroes head to the net to do some research about Name Redacted, and hopefully meet Lan's new pen pal. But going to Name Redacted isn't going to be that straightforward. There's a security cube that can only be moved if we have an A-class net battler license, so it's time for more challenges back at the Marine Harbor. In our never-ending quest to complete all of the backtracky busy work in the world, we're turned away from the A-class exam because we haven't been helping enough people, so we're off to do 3 simple side quests. Nothing worth talking about, but I did come up against something unrelated that I both love and hate about all Battle Network titles that I want to mention now. Once you've defeated a Robot Master, Maverick, Rival Navi, the remaining data will float around the net. This enables you to rebattle them and get their unique battle chips or other rewards. Well, that sounds neat. How do we trigger them? You don't. They're random encounters. Yup. You could just be walking around and suddenly be ambushed by a powered-up version of a boss you just recently fought. If you didn't save, you could be supremely fucked and lose a chunk of progress for no reason other than the game decided it wanted to fuck you today. I like this mechanic, but I just wish you had control over when you rematch the Navis, rather than them occurring at no specific time in certain areas. An hour later, we're back for our test. Got a survival battle, no problem. Then we gotta go find some bad Navis out in the net. Nowhere specific, just out there. Oh, here's one. Let's take him out. This is why sorties are probably the worst enemy in the first half of the game. Not only do they have a lot of health in comparison to all the other early enemies, they're the only common enemy that will force you into an unwinnable state just for not baiting them hard enough. If they don't get to swing at you for like 5 seconds, they'll use area grab. Mess up twice and... I lost a half hour of gameplay because of that shit. With an A license, we can now open the way to Name Redacted. And nobody's here. Navis around the area will tell you this is supposed to be the most populated region of the internet, and yet there's no natives anywhere to be seen. Aside from 1 or 2 tourists and a merchant, this place is deserted.
Oh, yes. Oh, thought it was. Okay, that's good.
Hiding in the forums, we meet the Navi of the person who sent the balloon. What a coincidence! They warn Lan and Mega Man that Electopia will be next in the assassin's path when...
That note doesn't mean anything for some reason. Because it's still doing 150. I have no idea.
Cutman.exe is a boss that you should be able to handle, but might still catch you off guard. He only has 3 attacks, and they're not a hassle to dodge, but he's got this rotating scissor that can't be destroyed, and if you do get hit, he does a fuckload of damage. It being, you know, Cutman, I wasn't taking him too seriously, and actually almost died. Back at the Psi Lab, which is now in a completely different location, Dr. Hikari and Sho prepare for the countrywide cyber attack. Lan wants to help out, but his dad knows Mega Man would get stomped by Shadowman. However, he's been planning for this eventuality, and asks us to find a file called change.bat that can be used to strengthen Mega Man. In typical Battle Network fashion, he has no idea where to find this rare thing, so we'll go around all the places we visited, complete a series of fetch quests from person to person, and eventually find whatever the fuck it is we're looking for. Surprise, it's right back where we got damn started. After fighting off the Guardian programs, Lan brings his dad the change file that he then installs into Mega Man. Nothing happens. Not yet, anyway. Yuichiro says that the new power is like a seed based on Mega Man's capabilities, so we'll just have to wait and see what he means. Shadowman begins his attack on Electopia's master computer, and Lan rushes in to help the official net battlers stop it. The master computer is the next dungeon, and we're back to solving puzzles to progress. This time, the floors are covered with jumbles of letters. A prog somewhere in the area will give you a riddle to solve, and the answer has to be spelled out. I really like this idea for a dungeon. Puzzles based on thinking rather than trial and error or reflexes is a good change of pace. Mega Man now has access to Style Change, the coolest mechanic they added to Battle Network 2. Mega Man will adopt one of 5 styles based on how the player has been battling throughout the game. And for the record, I didn't remember how to get each style and didn't check a guide, so any styles I get are purely based on my own personal playstyle and weren't manipulated in any way. Now then, the 5 styles are Guts Style, earned by killing viruses with the Buster above all else. This reduces Mega Man's Buster speed to 1, but doubles his power. He also gets Super Armor, meaning he won't flinch or be knocked back by attacks. Team Style, earned by destroying viruses with Navi chips the most. This style allows Lan to load more high-tier chips into his folder, up to 8. Unless you have some sort of special build or strategy in mind, this one doesn't seem to be that useful. Custom Style, unlocked by using regular battle chips more than any other type. Custom Style is like a more useful version of Team Style, letting Mega Man actually start every battle with 7 chips instead of 5, rather than a simple folder increase. Shield Style, activated by prioritizing defensive and healing chips. In this style, Mega Man will start with a barrier in every fight, in addition to that shield on his arm. By pressing B and backwards at the right time, Mega Man can greatly reduce damage from incoming attacks. Hub Style, or Saito Style in other regions, is the most powerful style change in Battle Network 2. Lan and his brother Hub enter a state of perfect sync, granting them the powers of the other 4 styles combined. But, if you recall from Battle Network 1, Lan suffers damage as well when this power is used, because his DNA becomes 100% the same as Hub's. As such, Mega Man's HP is cut in half when using Hub Style, presumably because the brother's pain is duplicated between the two of them. This style is incredibly powerful, but not really worth the effort you need to unlock it. In order to get hub style, you have to get an S rank on every V3 boss in the game. Meaning, you have to get an S on the special jacked up versions of the bosses that I mentioned earlier, the random rematch fights. Getting an S requires you to beat the boss in under 30 seconds without getting hit, and absolutely not. Whenever you get a new style, it'll be given one of 4 elements: fire, elect, wood, or aqua, at seemingly random. If there's any way to influence what element you get, nobody's figured it out. This affects your elemental weakness, as well as what type of special charge shot you'll get. You can hold 2 styles at a time, not counting Mega Man's default style, earning a new one every 280 battles. And that's all you need to know about style change. In one of the gates guarding the master computer, we find Protoman about to face down Shadowman. Mega Man offers assistance, but Sho insists they go protect the main computer instead, and Lan begrudgingly agrees. Many riddles later, we reach the central control program and find Shadowman. Shadowman.exe, as you'd expect, is a ninja who teleports around the field using shuriken and his shadow clones to attack. The shadow clones can be destroyed, but they will block your bullets, and he regenerates them constantly. You can tell which one is real by looking at his HP value underneath. When his health gets low, he'll trade his shadow clones for these 2 invincible holograms that take up Mega Man's side of the field and attack. They don't do a lot of damage, but they move so fast and frequently that it's tough to get a shot in on Shadowman to finish him off. Once again, back in Lan's room, we find him procrastinating on his homework as usual. But this time, he's saved by an important email from the Net Battler Association. An urgent meeting is being held in the city of Netopia to discuss what should be done about gospel, and Lan is invited to take part. The subway isn't going to cut it this time too far. So, we're taking a plane to get to Netopia. In a very bizarre and kind of pointless series of events, Lan isn't allowed to take Mega Man onto the plane, increased security because of gospel, so his PET is taken away. He's then robbed by some random guy with a painfully French accent, and great, all of our money is gone. We talk to Sho near the gate, and he hands us Mega Man back, saying he used his Net Battler authority to get it. Then we ride the plane and arrive in Netopia, and right away we find the guy who stole all our Zenny, we beat him in a net battle, and he gives it all back. That sequence of events took place over about 2 minutes. If you're trying to build tension or make the player worried about how they're going to proceed, maybe don't give me both Mega Man and my money back 30 seconds after taking them away. See, you should do what this friggin' creepo does and force a little boy into his car, beat him up, and take all his battle chips, then throw him out onto the street. Oh fuck. We have no battle chips now. Mega Man and Lan aren't too happy about it either, getting into an argument and blaming each other till Lan tosses his PET on the hotel floor and leaves. He wanders around town for a bit, and after a conversation with Higsby, who happened to be here looking for rare chips, Lan realizes his mistake and comes back to apologize. When he returns, he finds Mega Man has been damaged while he was gone, and his passport was taken. Great, more missing shit. We catch wind that our passport is probably on its way to the Undernet, but the only jack-in spot we can find is guarded by a gang leader named Raoul. He's willing to let Lan use his radio to get to the net, but only if we can beat his Navi Thunderman. So, I got an Aqua style change. It's weak to elect, so I can't really use it in this fight. I also can't change my chip folder because it's, missing. This is bad, because most, if not all of my chips I had on are close-range melee attacks. And Thunderman has these 3 impenetrable clouds that will not stop fucking shocking you and blocking your shots. This boss isn't hard, it's poorly thought out. You can't have a boss who deals in exclusively long-range attacks if you won't let me change my chips to compensate. So I had to go to this small section of the net that's available and grind projectile-based battle chips for a half hour so I could actually fight this glorified lightning rod. But I did it eventually and made it to the Netopia area of the net. Someone should have thought about that name a little more. Mega Man stops the thief Navi from selling off Land's passport, but there's still the matter of the battle chips to work out. Talking to one of the kids in the alley, we learn about some posh woman in the market for rare chips, so if someone was selling them, she probably bought them. Hanging out in a jewelry store, because that's not on the nose, we see Miss Millions, not a dub change, lounging around and waiting for some excitement. Ew. If we beat her Navi Snake Man, she'll give us our battle chips back, so let's do that. SnakeMan.exe is dumb and easy. Much like Quickman, you can only hit him when he's attacking, or else he'll duck into his pot. No problem, just takes a while. After a long, hard day of getting mugged in what is clearly supposed to be an XP of America, our team of protagonists retire to their hotel room. Early the next morning, Lan gets a message from the NBA that contains a coded phrase to reveal the meeting location. The last sentence has all of its first letters capitalized, and if you take those letters, you get Net Castle. So we go to the only castle around these parts, find a secret wall, and would you look at that, here we are. Looks like Sho is already here, as is Raoul, who's actually an official net battler as well. There's 2 NPCs with generic designs, so they aren't important. But this last one here is Princess Pride, a name that's so anime, I don't even need to tell you that's her original name as well.
Oh, I wasn't done stopped. I was trying to figure out why his turn was offset. Oh. Let's see, is that any better? That wasn't quite my normal spot. Cool. Yeah, I'm listening to reviews on the old Mega Man Battle Network games. I just randomly had the... I realized all the games I hear people talk about and stuff, and that's not one of them, but I loved these games when I was younger. So yeah, I went looking for reviews on them.
I cannot believe how much murder they're getting away with when this game's rated 6+. Okay, we gotta escape this dungeon by sending Mega Man into the trap control consoles and turning them off so Lan can progress. In the castle's network, there are vampires, which drain your health, ghosts that drag you back to the nearest gravestone, and thieves who steal half of your zenny if they touch you. All 3 of them only follow a set path, so you can lose them if you try and hide around corners, unless that corner was their set path anyway. Well, since we're gonna die anyway, time to bust out the big guns. Program Advance. A Program Advance is a secret technique that can be activated by selecting certain battle chips in a set sequence. The only way to find these, as far as I'm aware, are to do side quests on the forum, or just look them up online. You likely won't find a Program Advance on accident, as they require 3 chips with certain codes in an arbitrary order. So even if you did figure out which chips to use, you'd probably get the codes in the order wrong. High-level folders are usually built entirely around these, because they snap the entire fucking game in half, with most of them easily doing upwards of 300 damage. Lan spots an unconscious and previously on fire Raoul, and before he can deduce what happened, Sho appears and accuses Lan of being a gospel spy sent to take out the net battlers. So he challenges us to a net battle instead of just punching us or something. The fight with Protoman is basically the same as the first game. Sword attacks, he's got a shield he uses occasionally, nothing we haven't dealt with.
Oh, right.
Raoul regains consciousness after the fight and warns the two that Princess Pride is the real traitor, the only other unique NPC, who would have guessed. With Protoman deleted until Sho can get his backup data, it's up to Mega Man to save everyone as usual. Pride's net navvy, Nightman, isn't super thrilled about having to fight Mega Man, but being a knight, he's bound by the order of his ruler and attacks. Nightman EXE's main gimmick is that he doesn't move. When his body is grayed out, he only takes 1 damage from any attack. When his barrier drops, you can actually start putting the hurt on him. His attack patterns are basic. The only thing that's really dangerous is when he jumps forward. He can only do this attack twice, but when he does, it cracks all of the panels in the arena. So when he starts dropping rocks from off screen, you'll most likely get stuck on a single panel, and I hope you're ready to take 100 plus damage. Once more, the day is saved. Pride is captured, and the net battlers have their wounds treated. It's time for Lan to head back to ACDC Town. We get back on the plane, so and so happens, not important stuff. Eventually, Lan overhears that there's a poisonous spider aboard the plane. Like, murder poisonous. We should fix that. We meet a member of some kind of bug society who helps us out and gives us a list of components to make a trap. We'll need a stick, a box, string, and whiskey to use as bait. Something about pheromones, I don't know. Maybe this weirdly specific-looking NPC can help us.
Maybe? Might be worth giving Russell a quick shield.
Mega Man, can you hack into the plane's engine, please? So we built the spider trap. Hooray!
You keep bringing a check for the cast next.
Oh, what now? Someone or something has infiltrated the plane's engines and is bombarding them with powerful magnetic waves. So Mega Man heads in to fix things, and I promise I didn't remember this part when I made that joke a few seconds ago. Inside the plane, there are large sections of the data path that are surrounded by magnetic force. These work pretty much the same as the arrow tiles that exist in the rest of the game. The difference being that these can be turned off by finding the actuators in each area, one for red waves and one for blue. These magnets also affect virus battles, with magnetic panels taking up the field. If Mega Man gets in one square of a magnetic panel, it will quickly pull him in, so we need to exercise caution when dodging attacks. You know the routine. We find the enemy Navi at the end of the line, Magnet Man and his operator, the powerful CEO, Gauss Magnus. CEO of what? Who knows? The game doesn't say what his company is or what it makes. Presumably electronic parts of some kind. He's hijacking the plane to find one of those super program thingamajigs Gospel needs to create their super Navi. Why are these super powerful programs just lying around in places like ovens and planes and shit? Magnet Man EXE has a real strain on your left thumb. Not only can he spawn more magnet panels around the field, his attacks also all home in on Mega Man, so you're going to be dancing around a lot to avoid him. He's also got this one attack where he creates an opposite version of himself, and
close range. No pushfire notices.
all the plane systems are returned to normal. Mr. Magnus is arrested, and our heroes return home to await yet another inevitable Monster of the Week situation.
Interesting.
Yep, that'll do it. Mail calls Lan in a panic as the earthquake knocked out her connection to Roll while she was on the net. Since she wasn't checked out properly, Roll and Mail have lost all contact. But Mail remembers that she was in name redacted before the connection broke.
Silence, yes. Destroy.
Oh hey, look at that! It's the worst, laziest part of the game. Alright, let's go over this. The next chapter of the game revolves around this virus ice that's appeared all over the net. This ice has halted the various programs that control the environment in Electopia, leading to large-scale natural disasters forming around the country. Lan heads to his dad for help, and using a piece of the ice that Mega Man grabbed, he's able to create a cure for the virus, but only for one of the colors. If we want to break all the ice, we'll need samples of the other colors.
That is a lot of movement.
This is done by randomly backtracking and retreading all of the net areas we've been to so far. Literal dozens of times. At least 10 full back and forths across the entire netscape, and I'm lowballing that number. That's it. That's the whole chapter. Over 2 hours of visiting places we've already been, fighting viruses we've already fought. But now, we have to hope we have the right cure to go down the right paths, or risk wasting large chunks of time doing stupid back and forths with a bunch of brain-dead dickheads who make us relay messages or grab files for them, despite the fact they're on the fucking internet.
Wow, why are you living that
No
way?
sugarcoating. This part of the game fucking sucks. And I cannot imagine how this got past playtesting. This entire chapter makes me wonder why I used to think this was my favorite Battle Network game. And honestly, I think it's because I must have blocked this from my memory. It's that bad. At one point, I caught myself slumped over in my... This was my favorite Battle Network. This entire chapter makes me wonder why I used to think this was my favorite Battle Network game. And honestly, I think it's because I must have blocked this from my memory. It's that bad. At one point, I caught myself slumped over in my chair with my mouth hanging open, the controller absent-mindedly slipping out of my hands before I dropped it and suddenly snapped back into consciousness. I really don't get why this game feels like it needs to do so much busy work and stall tactics just to make the game longer. I wager a good 30% of the game, at least, is just walking to places you've already been. A fast travel system would have greatly improved this game's flow and cut down about 4 or 5 hours of the game's overall length, which is fine, because that still leaves over 15 hours of content. What's worse is that throughout the game, you see a ton of broken teleporters and code boxes that should be fast travel points, but you can't activate them till the end of the game anyway, so what's the point? The regular gameplay, the battles, and most of the dungeons are great, but the hour or two of bullshit in between each main section is exhausting. I didn't even touch the tons of side quests and extra bosses you can do because, well, That sounds like a lot more walking to places I've already been. It's not like this is exclusively Capcom's fault for this, though. Most RPGs were just like this back in the 90s and early 2000s. It's why a lot of early RPGs aged poorly. We hadn't yet reached the collective point where we decided that slowly walking blindly around giant maps being an errand boy isn't enjoyable structure for a video game. It's completely unnecessary for you to purposefully put not fun content in your game just to stretch the playtime out. But that's where 20 or so years of hindsight gets you.
Ooh, critical.
After much boredom, we learned that there's a secret area in Kotobuki Square where Freezeman, the Navi that's been making all this ice, is hiding out. Freezeman.exe is a guy that shoots ice. It's slippery. A week later, Lan gets a net battler notification to check out Kotobuki Square once again, as the gospel attacks aren't stopping. When they arrive first, because of course Lan and Mega Man arrive first, they find a large transfer portal where an endless stream of gospel navis and viruses are pouring in. The pair head to the lab to talk to Dr. Hikari and seek his assistance as usual. Kotobuki, the real town of Kotobuki, has been emitting insane levels of electromagnetic radiation, lethal levels, in fact. Someone needs to take the radiation suit and go stop whatever Gospel is doing. But Sho has been missing for 3 days, and all the other net battlers are occupied or out of commission. I'm just gonna say it, this place looks fucking sick. A fitting location for our final battle. When Lan tries to enter the tower, he finds the elevator is stuck. How and why? Somehow, Mail, Bex, and Yai manage to get to the tower before Lan in an attempt to help him clear out the radiation. Aw, that's sweet, guys. How far did you... To progress in the tower, we need to lower the EMR levels from these servers that are literally growing out of the ground from the floors. When we jack in, we discover this is being caused by the two worlds merging together. There's so much electric energy flying around that reality and the net are colliding and becoming one in a violent fashion. The paths around the netscape are distorted and mangled, causing Mega Man to warp to unrelated random areas until he can fix the radiation dampeners around the place, find the parts, fix the teleporter, then use it to progress. In usual Mega Man tradition, you'll encounter boss rushes along the way to the finale. The first one featuring Airman, Quickman, and Cutman, and the second featuring Nightman, Magnet Man, and Freeze Man. All the while, Lan tries to stay conscious and fight off the increasing radiation engulfing the building.
Good. Should use this one instead.
Ooh, he did it. He said the thing. I get it. I get the joke. This is Gospel Super Navy, the Battle Network iteration of Dr. Wily's ultimate weapon, Base. Base.exe was a secret boss in the first Battle Network, being the strongest enemy in the game. A Navi who has a perfect copy ability, much like classic Mega Man. But this version doesn't seem right. He's incredibly easy, arguably the easiest boss in the game. He only has 2 basic buster attacks, doesn't guard himself, and just sort of teleports
around. Can I come here with Catch and get a Saint
really
Sword?
Odd. Base shouldn't be this weak. Doesn't seem right. He's incredibly easy, arguably the easiest boss in the game. He only has 2 basic buster attacks, doesn't guard himself, and just sort of teleports around randomly? That's really odd. Base shouldn't be this weak.
What is with this battle in crits? Jeez. Frey keeps almost dying and then just getting off full Q. Oh. Probably I should have realized that, right? should keep me from getting hit.
The multi-bug organism, Gospel, is the true final boss of Battle Network 2. A giant wolf that resembles Treble, Base's companion in the original Mega Man, Gospel is certainly a step up from the joke that was the life virus. Gospel can only be hurt when his mouth is open for attack, while large chunks of debris continually fly across the field. He mostly fires energy waves from his mouth, but is also able to turn its head into a huge drill, breathe fire, create wind, and make copies of previous bosses. To top it all off, he has 2,000 HP, and without program advances, your attacks on average hover around 100 damage. I probably should have loaded my deck up with some quick powerful advances to beat Gospel super fast, but I think it's more fun this way rather than just tossing out some crazy combo that does 500 HP.
And this is the part where I realized I forgot to look for exits.
With Gospel, the creature and the organization, deleted, Land finds the boy, his name is Sean by the way, unconscious on the floor. Mega Man spots a journal nearby and begins reading it, as it details Sean's motivation. His parents died in a plane crash when he was 5, and he was left with unspecified abusive relatives as a result. His upbringing instilled in him a hatred for humanity, and using his deceased parents' fortune, he formed the Net Mafia Gospel to remake the world into a kinder place. When Sean wakes up, Lan assures him that he'll be punished for his crimes, but also promises to give him a chance at redemption once he's ready. Another day, another incompetent international terror organization foiled by an 11-year-old and his smartphone. All's well that ends well, I suppose. So, Mega Man Battle Network 2. I didn't like it as much as I remembered I did. Don't get me wrong, it's still really good, and much better than the first, with things like program advance, style change, and the expanded Netscape, but the amount of filler introduced to fill that new Netscape borders on comical at times. I started laughing 2 hours into that ice quest, because I just could not believe they had me go back and forth between Netopia 2 and Undernet 3 like 4 times in a row. It's absurd. If I had one other nitpick, it's that they probably could have introduced Sean earlier and developed him and his background a little more than just a mean voice on a black screen. Maybe drop some more hints about his backstory or something, because as it is, his entire motivation is a literal afterthought once the game is already finished. Overall, Mega Man Battle Network 2 is a superior game to its prequel that adds and improves upon it in almost every way. It could have been one of my favorites still, if not for the stupid amount of unnecessary padding to fill time. I just personally don't have much patience for that kind of stuff. Still though, very much recommended, and probably the best place to start if you want to play the Battle Network games. Oh god, 2 Battle Networks down, 4 to go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please remember to leave a like or subscribe if you are new. I also have a Twitter account that I decided I want to actually start updating. So once we get a few followers over there, like, I don't know, around 20, something like that, I'll start doing that. So holy bejesus.
Not too strong in the geomancy. Let's take up storage. Okay, 640 damage weapon attack. Remember that. Dual wield, okay. Lovely. So that's 20 times 15, 300, 450. 450 a hit? Yeah, that's, he's going to need to... What does the wind have taken against? Okay, so, yeah. Earthbind Blade or Full Cure for him. Next half. And shell. Low Faith. So has to be able to do that. She's going to be annoying hard to hit. They both have such low faith. So bring your MP. Is that the same name the other astrologist had? I guess it seems straight as last time for her. Oh, she's just casting haste this time. That was her mistake. Okay, cool. So you can make the 7-space teleport. Fuck off. Actually, fuck off. Let's just put this down for good measure. Please. Fuck off. The 90% and the 80% both fucking failed. That's so dumb. She should be dead and they should not be instead. I guess I guess I'd be able to do it, but I, thought I'd be all reasonable. Oh, gee. Doesn't get counterfloated. I'm actually surprised that worked. That's this time? Of course it doesn't kill them. Just not casting anymore. How does that work? She doesn't have a sword equipped, and I definitely set that back to requiring swords. My God, look at those potential exits. Useless spot for me to go to, so I'm gonna have to wait. And pull off this and then this one. Good. Jeez, you're annoying, dodgy. At least you finally died. I missed sword critical. Lucky hit, okay. So instead of chancing a 60% teleport, I'm just going to do this and then get quickened and actually go to the exit spot. Stuff quick is handy. just going to keep doing this and go from potential exit spot to potential exit spot. This was my... There's the spot. There. Super scared of anything she could do. Theoretically, if I play this here, she won't walk over and attack me because she shouldn't be able to just kill me. I'll be annoyed if he goes and sits on the exit tile. Oh yeah, this is an ability. I probably could have done this with Centaur too. just going to cheat real quick. Or I don't need to. Thank you. I may now depart. Jeez. Hey, screw this frog in particular. It'd be cool if frogs had some niche, like their physical attack inflicting poison or something. It's called mucus.
Jesus, look at that runtime. I don't get paid enough for this shit. I mean, I don't get paid at all for this shit, but you know what I mean.
I mean, the story gets irrelevant to get to one battle.
June 24th, 2003. Man, they really did crank these things out every year, huh? If you're new to the Battle Network series, you might be confused by the fact that there are 2 titles in the thumbnail all of a sudden, so let me explain. The original Japanese release of Battle Network 3 was simply called Battle Network Rockman EXE 3. Then Battle Network 3 Black was an updated port released later with extra content and slightly different bosses. When the game was brought to America, it was divided into white version and blue version, not dissimilar to a Pokemon game. While both Western versions would have the general bug fixes and improvements introduced in Black, white would be based on the original release, and blue based on the black release. This means that the blue version has slightly more content, as it comes from black, which had an extra boss or 2. Apart from that, the only differences are a few exclusive chips, some palette swaps, and a special style change unique to each version. There are genuinely less differences here than a Pokemon game. There is really no reason for Battle Network 3 to be split across 2 cartridges, so I'm not gonna bother covering both. Because it's almost the exact same game with a tiny bit extra to do, we'll be playing blue version in this video, but almost everything I say also applies to the white version, as the plot and gameplay is the same between both.
Maybe I should put auto haste from the story instead of CT save. Yeah, that's just...
In the Electopia Virus Lab, we spy a class of kids on a field trip. Among them are our ever-present heroes, Lan Hikari, and his faithful Navi and brother, Mega Man.exe. The children learning how to stop viruses in their net-connected world functions as a much better excuse for a tutorial than having Lan study virus busting like the previous 2 games. It did bother me that his teacher thought the best net battler in the world had to practice. You walk around and talk to all the kids in class who mention things like how to consult your Navi for advice or answer your emails. Wow, look how pretty those menus are now. I'm glad they got rid of that dark background with the orange trim. It always looked kind of bootleg to me for some reason. The culmination of this lesson is a virus busting tutorial.
Check. I'm actually going to take a break from the stream.
The series
for a
has
bit.
more than found a stable basis at this point, so everything on a
later
fundamental level is the same as Battle Network 2. The only additions being that you can now charge your Buster Shot without upgrading it first, and the new counter mechanics. If you delete a virus right as it winds up to attack, you'll hear this chime. That means you performed a counter. Each counter you do is represented by a star next to your busting level at the end of the match, up to 3. This is the new method of obtaining bug frags. Rather than finding a limited amount hidden around the world, you can now grind them through skillful battling. Lan, Mail, Dex, and Yai decide to meet up after school on the net, which is a weird thing to plan in person, but hoo boy, I can't start nitpicking yet, we just started. While discussing their meeting, a man in a cowboy hat walks up, and are you sure that's the first thing you want to say to a group of children in the park? He's a representative of the Den City News Network who's spreading the word about the N1 Grand Prix, an upcoming net battler tournament that will be broadcast around the world.
Beg
Excited at the thought
pardon?
of showing off their operating skills, Lan and friends all rush home to sign
Excuse
up
me?
and complete the preliminary trials.
Excuse me. No, that's not okay.
Welcome to the new internet, and while it doesn't look too different in
That is not okay. It's fucking white. Why? But for why though? Bitch. I really should have just finished the game before I came here. Shouldn't I have? Excuse me. I would have to ask you to not. Fallen Angel, huh? Okay, many notes to self have been... Yeah, I think I'm just fucked because she does that, and then he does Dark Vortex, and rip. I guess we'll find out next time. Interesting.